I'm Tanya, a 37-year-old woman who's happily married to the love of my life, Jim. Let me tell you a story about how my in-laws, Nina and Hank, underestimated me and my amazing parents, and how I turned the tables on them in the most satisfying way possible. My family had money, but we didn't show it off. We believed in working hard and staying humble. My parents taught me that money shouldn't be relied upon. It's more important to be determined and have good qualities. These lessons helped me when dealing with Jim's family, especially his mom, Nina. At first, Nina treated me badly and always made mean comments at my expense. But I stayed strong and confident because I knew my value wasn't just about money. I loved Jim a lot and wanted to prove that I deserved his love no matter how much money I had. One time, however, I got overwhelmed by Nina's remarks and confided in Jim about it. "I need to talk to you about something." "What's going on, darling? Is everything okay?" "It's just that I feel upset with how your mom treats me. It's like she thinks I'm not good enough because I don't come from wealth." "I was waiting for this to come up, if I'm being completely honest," Jim responded. "My mom has this strange way of trying to make sure I find the right girlfriend. She's overprotective. She doesn't want anyone using me for my money. She always insisted on me finding someone with the same social standing as us. But believe me, I don't care about that stuff. It's just not fair. Shouldn't she see me for who I am, not how much money I come from? Love should be about understanding, not wealth." "I completely agree. Love should be about understanding. My mom is stubborn, but I'm holding out hope that she'll change. Don't worry about a word she says. She'll never change how I feel and think about you, my darling. I love you no matter what." "I love you too, baby. You're the only reason I'm staying. It's not easy to deal with her. I hope she realizes our love is real, not about money." I felt a mix of relief, love, and a tinge of sadness. I felt relieved that Jim understood my frustrations and stood by my side. His unwavering support gave me strength. Yet, there was a hint of sadness knowing that his mother's judgment and expectations might continue to affect our relationship. Nina didn't just treat me badly, she also looked down on my parents. When our families met to plan the wedding at Jim and my house, Nina and Hank kept saying mean things about my parents. They made rude comments about where my parents came from and acted like they were better than them. It made me and Jim mad, but my parents handled it well. Even though Nina and Hank tried to put my parents down, they stayed calm and strong. They didn't let Nina and Hank's words bother them. They stayed cool and didn't act mean back. Nina and Hank thought my parents were being distant and acting better than them, which made Jim's parents not like my parents even more. They thought my parents were too proud and snobby. At the wedding itself, Nina tried to strike up a conversation with my mother, Rita. "Oh, Rita, you look lovely." "Thank you, Nina. So do you. Your daughter is quite lucky, isn't she?" "That she is. She's marrying the man she loves, and I'm so happy for her. Of course, marrying a rich man like Jim must be such a dream come true for her. Are you jealous?" "Jealous? Why would I be? Wealth doesn't define a person. It's not something I care about. Of course, when you don't have a lot of money, you have to focus on personality, right?" "I hope you're secretly jealous of Tanya. No need to hide it. Admit it. I won't tell anyone, I promise." "I have no reason to be jealous, Nina. What matters to me is that my daughter is marrying a man who will always stand by her side, even if it's against his disrespectful parents. That's something to be proud of. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have other things to attend to." Nina felt shocked and embarrassed as Rita confidently walked away, leaving her at a loss for words. This encounter only deepened Nina's resentment towards Rita, fueling her dislike for Tanya's mother even more. After we got married, I decided to tell Jim about my family's wealth. I was nervous about how he would react, so I sat him down one night and told him about everything. Okay, darling. Why so serious? Okay, so I've kind of been keeping a huge secret from you. Oh, what is it? Well, I'm actually from a similar background as you. What do you mean? My dad is the highest chairman of a big company in the same industry as your dad. Wait, what? Are you serious? I know. It's surprising. My parents always taught me to be humble and not to rely on our wealth, so I didn't think it was necessary to mention it. I can't believe you never told me about this before. I mean, it would have changed anything, and it still doesn't change anything. It's just shocking. Well, yeah, I figured you'd find out one way or another, and I would rather you find out from me right now than later by someone else. Once the surprise sank in, Jim burst out laughing. I was confused at first, not sure why he found it so funny. I don't get it. Why are you laughing? It's just so ironic, darling. I'm laughing because of how my parents treated you when we were dating. If they had known about your family's wealth, they would have treated you like royalty. It's really stupid, isn't it? So, I never understood why your parents needed to know about it to treat me with respect. Exactly. I love you for who you are, not for your family's wealth. You've always been there for me, and that's what matters. We've built our relationship on trust and support, not material possessions. Laughing together brought us even closer. We realized that our love went beyond money and status. We were grateful for each other's love and support, which meant more than any amount of money. It was a special moment for us, understanding that our connection was based on genuine feelings and shared values, not just superficial things. Over the years, Jim and I grew even closer in our relationship. We both landed high-ranking, well-paying jobs that provided us with a comfortable and happy life. We had to move to a different state because of work, but it also served as a way to distance ourselves from Jim's toxic parents. Whenever we returned to our home state, we made sure to meet Jim's parents and my parents separately. I couldn't bear to see my parents being talked down to by Nina and Hank. Protecting my parents' dignity was important to me, so we took steps to ensure they were spared from any more of their condescending remarks. One day, my Mama Rita called with great news. She said she was organizing a big charity event next month and asked if Jim and I would come. I was super excited and said yes right away. My mom was known for throwing awesome parties, and I couldn't wait to be part of this special event. It had been a while since she organized something, and I knew it would be a big hit. A few days later, Jim's mom, Nina, called him. She told him about the same charity event and insisted that we had to be there. Little did she know that we were already invited by my parents. Jim didn't say anything and just agreed to his mom's request. We found it funny how things worked out. It seemed like fate brought both our families to the same event without them knowing. As the days went by, Jim and I felt a mix of excitement and curiosity. We wondered what would happen when our families finally met at the event. We knew there was tension between them, but we hoped this could be a chance for them to put their differences aside and enjoy themselves. Despite the potential for drama, I was determined to make the most of the event and support my mom's charity. I focused on the positive and got ready for a special night filled with fancy things, helping others, and hopefully a better understanding between our families. The next few weeks went by really fast, and before we knew it, Jim and I were boarding our flights back home. When we arrived, Nina and Hank were there to greet us at the airport. Since I was earning a similar amount as Jim, Nina started treating me a little better. It wasn't that she was so nice to me, but she made fewer mean comments. I didn't like that it took me having a high-paying job for her to show some respect, but I was relieved not to deal with her usual remarks. That night, Jim and I stayed at his parents' house. We talked about how Nina and Hank would find out about my parents' wealth the next day. I can't believe tomorrow is the day your parents will finally find out about my family's wealth. I'm kind of nervous about how your parents will react, to be honest, I said. Yeah, it's going to be quite a revelation for them. I'm looking forward to seeing their reaction and confronting them about their behavior. Me too. It's about time they realize that money doesn't define a person's wealth. I'm glad you're standing up for me. You know I'll always have your back, darling. I love you. We're in this together. I love you too, babe. I can't wait to see their faces when they learn the truth. It's going to be an interesting day, that's for sure. We need to get as much sleep as we can. We're going to need it. Oh, absolutely. Good night, my love. The next evening, everyone got dressed up in fancy clothes for the event. Of course, Nina had to make a mean comment about my dress, but Jim stood up for me and told his mum that she had no right to say such things to his wife. When we arrived at the venue, I was amazed by how beautiful it looked. I made a mental note to compliment my mum when I saw her for organizing such a wonderful event. Nina and Hank went off to socialize with other people. Nina found her friend Maddie, and together they whispered and laughed while gossiping about everyone they saw. I saw my mother, Rita, from a distance, and my heart filled with joy. I quickly made my way over to her, Nina wearing a scowl followed behind me, with Maddie trailing alongside her. I wanted to compliment my mother on her hard work organizing the event, but before I could even speak, Nina rudely questioned why my mum was there. "What are you doing here, Rita? This event is only for rich people. Well, I am part of the organizing team for this event. Oh, and what exactly do you do? I doubt it's anything important." "Nina, please. That's enough." "Isona. Well, if you don't do your job well, I'll make sure to complain to your boss and get you fired." "Nina, shut up. What is your problem, Maddie?" "Rita is the hostess for the entire party, Nina." "What?" "Hershey, the hostess. Have you lost your mind or something? Rita's husband is in a very high position. Don't you know she's the wife of the chairman of the company hosting the event? You've just made a fool of yourself." "Whoa, what?" "Oh, hi. I didn't know." "Enjoy the party, Nina." I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of satisfaction as I witnessed Nina's shock. Without saying a word, I left my mum feeling victorious and content. As we walked away from Nina, I couldn't help but get excited. "Mum, I have to say, this place looks amazing, and the way you handled Nina's mean comments, you were incredible. Thank you, sweetheart, but that's not all. I've got something else planned." "Really? What do you mean?" "Well, I've grown tired of how Jim's parents treat us, so your dad and I came up with a little plan. Your dad is going to introduce himself to Hank in the most amazing way ever. I mean, come on. They should know that having a little more money doesn't make them royalty. Am I right? I'm beyond curious about your little plan. What do you have in mind?" "Just wait and see, my dear. We're going to make a statement and give them payback for the way they treated us. I'm scared about what you've planned, but at the same time, you're right. They need to be put in their place. I can't wait to see what happens." Hearing my mom's words made me curious and eager to see what would happen next. I trusted her instincts and knew she had something clever planned. We were tired of being looked down on, and it was time to stand up for ourselves. I felt a surge of pride imagining my parents taking charge and proving to Nina and Hank that everyone deserves respect regardless of their wealth. The event continued, and I felt excited about what hours to come. It wasn't just a charity gathering. There was also an award ceremony to recognize the most generous and hard-working companies. Surprisingly, Hank's company was a top contender for the award. This made him even more arrogant, not realizing that my father Aaron held the deciding votes. When it was Aaron's turn to present the award, he stepped up and delivered a speech that caught everyone's attention. He talked about his conversation with the CEO of the leading company and noticed the CEO's disrespectful attitude towards others who weren't as successful. Aaron couldn't support someone who treated others poorly, so he announced that the runner-up company would receive the award instead. The crowd reacted with a mix of cheers and whispers. All eyes turned to Hank and Nina, who looked shocked and humiliated. Their arrogance had been exposed, and people could see the truth about their behavior. It was evident that wealth and status shouldn't be an excuse to treat others with disrespect. Feeling embarrassed, Hank and Nina decided to leave the event early. They couldn't face the crowd knowing that their true nature had been revealed. Meanwhile, Jim and I stayed until the end, proud of my parents for taking a stand against the belittling behavior. Upon returning to Nina and Hank's place, they immediately started shouting at me, demanding to know why I hadn't disclosed my parents' status. "Why didn't you tell us about your parents' status, Tanya? How dare you keep that from us?" "I don't see why my parents' status matters to you," I replied. "Of course it matters. You made us look like fools." "I didn't do that at all. Your mentality did that. You're just trying to outshine us, aren't you? You want to show us how much higher you are." "I told you, Jim, she was a waste of time. Look at how she's embarrassed your poor parents." "That's enough, Mum. Tanya has done nothing wrong. Her family's wealth doesn't change who she is, and it certainly doesn't change how I feel about her. I will not allow you to belittle me or my family." "Well, if you think you can rob us of our position, you're mistaken." "We're not interested in taking anything from you, Mum. We're interested in being treated with respect and dignity. If you can't do that, then we won't stay here." At that moment, Jim and I decided that we had endured enough of their disrespect. We packed our bags and headed straight to my parents' house, seeking a loving and respectful environment where our value wasn't based on material positions. As we settled into my parents' home, a sense of relief washed over us. We were greeted with open arms and genuine warmth. My parents never used their wealth against us. Instead, they showered us with love and acceptance. It was in their presence that we truly felt at home. Ultimately, our love triumphed over the toxic environment created by Nina and Hank. We realized that true happiness and fulfillment come from being surrounded by people who appreciate and uplift us, rather than those who seek to demean and belittle us. We embarked on a new chapter, leaving behind negativity and embracing the love and respect we always deserved. So there you have it, the tale of how my amazing parents turned the tables on my condescending in-laws. Our love has been grateful for their guidance and for instilling in me the values that helped me rise above pettiness. My relationship with Jim flourished, and we found happiness and success together, free from the judgment and snobbery of others. Remember, it's not about wealth or status. It's about the love and support we give to one another. And sometimes, a little taste of sweet revenge can make the journey even more